Put your hands together for a special Twist Edition show of the Baumans, featuring your host, Greg Green Bay Baumann.
Fabulous. Thanks a lot, Twist Nation. Here we go. So, special edition, special guest with me to this week doing a special show is a man who coaches high school football and has been for over 40 years. He is in the Messmer High School, his alma mater, Hall of Fame. He's also in the Wisconsin High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame. More importantly than any of that, he's my dad. So you guys are going to learn a lot about me just based on the answers that my dad's going to be giving. You're going to learn why I talk so much, why everything I tell is a story came from my dad. But what we're going to be focusing a lot on with this episode is a lot of things that people ask me about that I don't have the exact answers on, which is a high school athlete transitioning into college and a lot of what that goes with.
I have a quick question, son.
Yeah.
When I got here, I looked up and we don't look anything alike. But me and Mike do.
I did notice that.
I'm just a little taken back by that. I can prove where I was at any time. I can prove it.
I do think that's funny. It's like, for those of you who may not know, I also have a twin brother who looks a lot more like anyone else on the planet other than me.
It's true.
So my dad coached not only me in high school. He's part of a coaching staff that has 8 state championships in the state of Wisconsin, 14 state appearances in the 40. How many years have you and Bill been coaching?
42.
42 years at Catholic Memorial. For those of you from Minnesota, Catholic Memorial High School is the Wisconsin equivalent to Cretin-Durham Hall. You're just pushing out athletes year after year. It's a private school, so their restrictions are not geographical. They're more financial. So over the years, you've gotten a chance to get to know pretty much every coaching staff in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, obviously. Over the years, it went from Michigan to now Iowa, and you and I were talking about that, and we'll get into that a little bit. So I just want people to understand the evolution of coaches. And my first question when it comes to these coaches and these kids is, what is the biggest difference between, let's just say my time, the early to mid 90s, for a kid that wants to go play Division I college football to now? What's the biggest difference in that recruiting process?
Number one thing is technology. I can get pictures of you from every game that you play, and I can cut out and get that play that makes you look fantastic. And the more you're able to put this kind of stuff together, it's the better highlight film that you have, that you send out to the here, 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 and here. The other thing is there's some unique schools that have been invented for special college players. Now, I think I'm going to get the initials wrong, but I think it's IGM down in Florida that brings these kids in. We had a kid, and I really believe down deep in my heart he's going to end up at Ohio State, that started with us, played 2 years with us, and then this recruiting group comes in and snaps him away. So now he's living down in Florida. I guess it's hard to beat when you're in Florida, and you're not in Wisconsin or Minnesota. But this kid can write his own ticket, and he will. I guarantee he will. Now the difference is, I believe that part of going to the school free means that if he's going to sign a pro contract, the pros are going to get the school's going to get a cut of that. So those are some of the major differences. The other difference is that how kids approach this with their parents. I mean, and it's one of the things that it bothers me. It's football, football, weight room, football, baseball. Kids are not. They're being bred to be professionals. And that's a tough thing to deal with for somebody who wants to see these kids have a high school experience that they should be happy with. I mean, there's a young man from Waukesha that got drafted by the New York Mets, got an offer of $4.5 million, and he never played an inning of high school baseball.
Mhm.
He ended up going to one of these specialty schools, specialty camps, all over the place, and then, he got drafted, but he never played high school baseball.
Mhm.
I mean, when I think about it, and it was before Christ was a corporal when I went to high school, but those are my buddies still to this day, talking about that kind of stuff, having a great time. Remember when that's always a great line. Remember when we, and that's what's different nowadays. And like I said, I mean, I can show you some highlight films that look like the pros. The other thing is that I really believe that high school football is now college football. And college football is pro football. And pro football is on infinitum. These men are perfect human beings almost. And a funny thing, and I hope I'm not taking away from one of your questions, but I talked to pro football doctor and a pro football trainer. And I said, why are these guys? I never saw so many knee injuries. They said they have gotten themselves to the point where they're so big, so strong, so fast that God didn't make that body go that fast, go that hard, and be that strong. I'm thinking of Jordy Nelson.
Yeah,
I watched him catch the ball, stop, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's getting to be kind of scary.
Yeah. No, and one of the things that you touched on that I wanted to hit on, because you mentioned it, is the high school experience. My dad and I were talking about this earlier, is the greatest experience of my life was playing my senior year of high school football, and I wasn't that good. I wasn't a star player. I wasn't going to get recruited. It was the experience of, now for me, it was different because my dad was one of the coaches. So I got the experience of being a part of the team. We were 12-0 state champs. We were the first undefeated team that our high school had. And that was all great. It was fun doing the 10-0 we go, 11-0 as we went out in the playoffs. It was fun for me to be what we call the rodents. So the second team, and be in the backfield on defense with my dad and one of my good friends, Pat Cerrone, now coaches at Oshkosh, hanging out with them. But the experience of being with those guys is not possible to duplicate. And that's one thing that I wanted to touch on, is those years that you get to spend, with those guys, you never forget. So, I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the funny things I want to talk about with high school athletes, because you've had 42 years of experience with it, is what was the most unique thing that either a player or a player in their family ever did to try to gain the attention of a college, whether it be whatever.
I mean, they hire. You can hire an agent right now. You can put together these portfolios of unbelievable pictures, videos, everything. You can get letters of how good your kid is from some other coach or whatever the case may be. It's high tech, and you know what? I would have never guessed that you could do stuff like that. And I'll also tell you what, you watch a movie here and there.
Yeah.
You think all that's true? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I sit there and I say to myself, he's getting an offer from where? Wow.
Yeah.
I guess. And the other thing is that, and I love my children. I have three of the greatest boys and tremendous grandchildren. But I'll tell you what, I knew Greg wasn't going to play pro football. I knew that. So my job was every day for 4 months to hang out with my kid. Most parents, I get 3 hours a day hanging out with my kid. It was a blast. But we all had a realization of what his skill set was, how good he was, how good his brother was, how good his older brother was. We all knew that. Nowadays, these parents have unrealistic views of their children, and they're out there screaming and yelling and and they go to the weakest ear in the school, and they try to find somebody and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody right away. Well, you know, if you don't want to talk to the head coach or the athletic director, you're not going to get any decent answers.
Great. Thanks. Before I ask this next question, I want to give a little more background because the question might involve that. Is not only has my dad been a high school football coach for 42 years, when he was 30 years old, named the police chief in the village of Pewaukee, Wisconsin, which is a neighboring community of Waukesha where I grew up. He's been the chief there ever since until he retired. So you've gotten to know pretty much everyone. I jokingly tell people that you know more people than Santa Claus. So for my next question, in your 40 plus years of coaching high school players, what is one situation that sticks out to you more than anyone else, any other situation where you got to see an athlete achieving his ultimate goal to play college football? So I want to kind of expand that to beyond just Catholic Memorial where we went. Anyone that you knew of that you could kind of watch their career personally?
You know, I tell you what, seeing J.J. Watt, seeing Chris McIntosh, seeing Jamie Vandervelt, all those kids, it was a tremendous experience. But there's no one thing. I go to every year without doubt, I go to the banquet at the end of the year. And there'll be 1, 2, 5, 10 parents come up to me and go, my kid just loves you. Mm-hmm. He absolutely loves you. And I said, you know what? I could never do for those kids what they do for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I am involved in some of the most horrible situations you could be involved in. Kid at 13 years old, he's a drug dealer. Kid at 14 years old gets shot. Kid at 16 years old is a drug user. And I'm dealing with that. And at 3:00, I get to go to football. And I'm at football and I go, young man, I want you to move that guy from there over to there. And he does it. He does it without recourse, and he does it well a lot of times. That to me is everything that I could have gotten out of football. You know, I've got the rings. I've got the Hall of Fame ring. It's all well and good, but that kind of stuff from kids, that's what means the most to me.
Nice. My next question is based on, you know, being a coach for as long as you were in the same program. You've obviously built up a lot of relationships with coaches in Big Ten programs. What's one thing that surprised you about coaches? We'll just stick to the Big Ten because that's where you have your familiarity with.
Yeah.
But one fascinating thing that you didn't realize about their lives.
And I guess my favorite of all time is Bo Schembechler, who I got to meet and spent most of the time. He wanted to talk about me, about police work and things like that. Kurt Fins. Yep. He is the nicest man you'll meet. And he really organizes his program to fit the needs of the kids that he's coaching. He always puts the kids first. And I think he's just a great guy. Lloyd Carr, another really, really great man. And, you know, I sit down and I watch him on Saturday afternoon, and you look at these guys, and I know what they're about. I mean, I sat in Lloyd Carr's office with Bill, and we talked for 45 minutes, almost an hour. And you find out what kind of human being he is. And then you watch on Saturday, and some goof sports guy sits down and says, yeah, he ain't winning. If he can't beat Ohio State, we got to get rid of him. Get rid of him. Bye-bye. Ohio State, we got to beat him. Well, if you don't think he wants to beat Ohio State, then you're an idiot. You really are. I mean, that guy who dies to beat, you know, Ohio State every year. Mm-hmm. So I think that is – and to see, like I said earlier, the transition. You know, I went from watching Charles Woodson because he didn't make the combine. So we were there, and they brought in probably 25 coaches came in, mm-hmm. and it looked. I mean, they went like this, wingspan. They're feeling. I mean, it's like you're like at the market, and you're trying to find somebody to. Yeah. And the bottom line is now it's all done with new technology. I mean, they can do everything they want to get the kind of information on these people and how successes come. You know, they've got information. I was looking to say notebooks, but then I show my age. But they've got information blocks on each of these players so that they can figure out what they're going to do and what's the probability of success. You know, I guess the thing is right now, and you guys talked on it last show, you know, when it comes down to egos and how they operate, that's really hard to measure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where most of the highlights come in. You know, somebody calls somebody hits somebody beats their girlfriend up, and it's like, geez, guys, you're making $4.7 million a year, and you got to blow it.
Mm-hmm. Off of that, are there any situations where a college coach will come to you guys and say, generally speaking, hey, who do you got this year that we need to look at? Or do they kind of ask you those types of things? Like, hey, this guy is a 5-star recruit. Can you tell me about him personally?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's how we maintain our relationships with the college coaches. I know that happened with somebody that they were going to take a risk on, and it was like, what, just, oof. You know, he's big,
mm-hmm.
and that's hard to teach.
Yeah.
You know, but when you talk about his work ethic, you know, those kind of things all fall a little short.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dealing with high school kids, and they understand that there's prom,
mm-hmm.
that there's homecoming,
mm-hmm.
you know, and that these kids are gonna that's not football might not be the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are the ones that are successful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had CJ Getz,
mm-hmm.
who's on his third year. He'll be third year redshirt next year, and he's working his way into it. We got a kid by the name of Cole Drakovich. Cole never played football until sophomore year. He got recruited by the Badgers. They made him an offer, and now he's going with them. It's because of this kid, number one, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but they want to see what kind of meat is on the bone.
Mm-hmm.
They want to take a look at you and say, you know what, this kid will never – I can get a kid that's, you know, 5'10",
mm-hmm.
and is really, really fast.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's really, really fast. Well, there's another kid that's 5'11". He's even faster.
Mm-hmm.
And another kid that's even faster than that. And that's where these guys are going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to get that kid. I'll tell you a story. Did you guys all watch the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Did you see the commercial? I think it was Mountain Dew, where that little kid that looks like Beckham, Odell Beckham, he's being recruited.
Really?
Yeah. I saw him on television, and I want to say it's either Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, one of those, where they had this kid on. And you can look. I will try to get you guys that link.
Okay. Because
this kid is, I don't think he's 10.
Okay.
Maybe 11. And the thing is, he looks really small.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's got a dad that's 6'4" and weighs about 250 pounds.
Yeah, and that's one of the funny things is you can't teach size, you can't teach work ethic. All you guys can do is teach them the X's and O's and the skills. So when it comes to someone's size, when it comes to, you know, their work ethic, and you're filtering guys, not filtering, but you're, you know, helping guys move along to that next level, especially in the Big Ten, are there certain times where you say, you guys as a coaching staff, will you say, you know what, this guy might be more suited for Iowa or Michigan or Wisconsin, and you guys are comfortable?
Or Oshkosh.
Oh, okay.
You
so
know,
the D2 school, the D3 schools?
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, and that's where it gets to be hard when you talk to these kids. And, I mean, these are 18-year-old seniors who you can have a conversation with because you don't have to go to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go home and tell their parents, and their parents freak out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this kid is not going to make it
at a
D1 school.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not.
Mhm.
You know, we got a kid that's thought he was going to go a lot higher than he did. And he's up at Bemidji.
Okay.
Is that the
Bemidji State?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's what it is. It's how people take a look at their kids, and that's part of the problem too.
Yeah. So in that regard, is it easier for you to deal with parents 20, 25 years ago? You and I had a conversation earlier today about the way parents treated their kids, the way parents treated coaches. Nowadays, are parents telling you guys, this is what he's going to do, you make it happen?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize at the end of the day how much you get paid to do this, which is next to nothing.
I don't get paid anything.
But in that regard, is it more opposite now? Instead of a kid saying, I want to go to Wisconsin, that's my dream, do you have parents now come up to you saying, you're going to get my kid to Wisconsin? Or does it happen that drastic?
Not that drastic, but they think their kid should go to Wisconsin, and they'll tell you the kid needs to go to Wisconsin. And Bill starts every year. Bill is, just so you know, Uncle Bill is on the the registry for National Football Coach of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happens with these kids is that they come in and they think that you can make these kind of things happen. So Bill sits down, and every year, we start on a Tuesday, and we're going to have our inter-squad game on the following Saturday, and that's Parents' Day.
Mm-hmm.
Two things that happen. Bill lays out everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can come down to practice, and you can watch little Johnny. You can see how little Johnny does against Big Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, not very well.
Yeah.
But these people need this because they just and the people that are out there, the people that you know are coaxing these kids along are people like I said, agents or parents or grandparents or whatever, and they're saying you should be and the kid believes it,
mm-hmm.
and the parents believe it, and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, great. And you know what? That's pretty much what I wanted to go over with today. I wanted to get the expert opinion, the expert voice on it. Dad, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the weekend. Our conversation is just going to continue on like this. It just won't be broadcast on our Facebook page.
A lot more swearing.
Yeah, a lot more swearing, a lot more cribbage. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.